You know when you realize something right before you almost made a horrible mistake?
I think that I could use to have that happen to me more. But I am familiar with the concept.
Considering I've learned more about you.
I just make the horrible mistake and then have to live with it. But I am familiar with the concept of catching something before it goes horribly wrong, which is what we've just done with the video.
Because you were in the middle of a long thing. So speaking of mistakes and learning in life, do you feel like you're in a place where you're learning from? I'm not gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm listening to the question. I'm smiling because I'm trying to be very honest with myself.
Okay.
Do I feel that I'm in a place where I'm learning?
Before you answer, keeping in mind, we can literally scrap this whole thing if at the end of it you don't want it up.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Gives me a lot of freedom. Do I think that I'm at a point in my life where I'm learning from my mistakes?
Yeah.
I would yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, I think overall, it's giving chutes and ladders.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm engaged.
So, do you know are you familiar with the game?
There's ladders, and
Yeah.
you got to climb up the ladders or fall down the chutes.
Yes.
Okay.
So, there are moments where I feel I'm learning from a mistake. I'm climbing that ladder, and the next thing I know, whoosh, down the chute, back to square one. But the forward motion is always there. Damn. We went down a chute again. Better roll the dice and climb back up another ladder. I would say I'm always trying to figure it out. Have I figured it out? No. But am I trying to figure it out? Yes. Because I think the question was, do I feel that I'm trying to do that or doing? Was it doing that or trying to do that?
Doing it. Because...
Yeah, I think I'm doing it because it's like it's something that doesn't happen. Learning from your mistakes... I think of it as like when you're learning a new hobby or a new skill, you're going to fail a ton of times before you succeed. So I think that like learning from your mistakes, unfortunately, because like emotions are involved, logic's involved, all these different components of you are involved. You're not going to be like, well, lesson learned, check that box. I wish it was like that, but I don't think it is like that. I think it's more like chutes and ladders. As long as there's forward motion, as long as you're rolling the dice and continuing to try to learn from the mistake, you are learning from the mistake.
Now, I've learned more from you or more about you in this drive. Oh yeah, they actually don't have context because we started recording after. We drove down to Tennessee. It was a 9-hour drive.
I think, yeah, like it was 9 in the end. It was supposed to be 8, but we got stuck because there was an accident. So we had an extra hour to the drive.
I was taking a nap, so I don't know that part.
Yeah, so you're like, that part was in the ether for me. That was a wash.
Happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's interesting because the last time I did your podcast, we already said it was like many moons ago. It was like episode 30 something, or maybe just 30. I don't know. But yeah. The last time I talked to Aaron on this podcast, I'm looking into the camera as I say this.
38.
Pre my divorce, pre us being friends. Like we were acquaintances, but we have been friends for several years now. So like like you said, there's things you know about me that you didn't necessarily know then that you know now.
Yes. I'm mostly thinking this car ride, if I'm being honest.
That's true.
That's the most time I've ever spent with you.
That makes sense because I feel like a lot of time we've spent has been. Every time I try to restart learning ASL,
yeah,
I'll call myself out. Every time I try to, every time I come back to the fold and say, Aaron, please teach me ASL. I know I have given up the other 3 times, but this 4th time is gonna stick. Chutes and ladders. But yes, I did. That's the thing is like if you're watching this and you're not a comic, I feel like mainly comics probably watch and listen to this, but maybe some regular normies do too. There's something very special about like a long car ride for a road gig. You do get to know the person you're in the car with's like inner world and just stuff that you would like stuff that would not come up at a show, at a mic, just comes out when you're in a car with somebody for 9 hours. And it's really special. It's one of my favorite things about touring is just getting like, oh, I know you more now from this experience. Yeah.
I will say you started off hot in this car ride because immediately talking about my potential ops. That was how the car ride started. But I hear you. There's you.
I'm a sweetie and a lover, but if you get into the green bean, I'm gonna say, who do you not fuck with? I need a list of names, Arya Stark style, now.
You seem surprised at how short my list was and seemingly my perception of it.
I think because I think that it made me, how chill you were about it and how short the list was made me judgmental of myself, that I had a longer list and that I still do have feelings of animosity years later. And I think that made me go, I might need to let some of this go.
I think part of it comes to, and this is a compliment, your audacity.
I do have a lot of audacity. I think I always have had a lot of audacity. I think that the audacity, it's kind of like you talked about, like developing tact. I do think that I've not toned it down. The tone has never been turned down, but it has been reeled in. And I think that there's like, I have to feel comfortable to really allow that audacity to come to the surface. Mm-hmm. But once I'm like locked in with somebody, I'm like, oh, we're pals, we're buddies, we're chums. You will see pretty quickly that I am a massive see you next Tuesday in a lot of ways. Just in terms of like, I'm unapologetically going to be like, this is what it is. This is how I feel.
I did get a sense of your rougher side this go around relative to what we were just listening to.
Oh yeah, no, I was very sterile.
Yeah. Is that because you didn't know me, or is that because
I think it was partially, I don't know Aaron, as well as like I think back then I was very worried about speaking openly and using my voice in a public setting that could potentially be like held over my head at a later, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing in the moment and it be held over my head at a later date. But like with this podcast, like I don't think that we're doing anything bad. We're not talking any shit. I'm saying that like, because you're my friend, I wanted to know like the bumps in the road for you in this experience and what you've learned from them. Like that's kind of what was trying to ascertain from like, oh, is there anybody that you have like issue with? Whereas like, cause for me, it's not to like stir the pot or stir tea. I'm just saying like,
learning,
like what we're learning moments for you in the interpersonal relationships of what we do. Whereas for me, I think that, I guess the growth for me in this moment and is that like, I used to be, and I think I still am to some degree, very afraid of confrontation and being controversial. But I think now at my age of 32, I'm kind of like, I'm not into confrontation, but also like, if you start it, I'm going to finish it. Like if you want to go low, I can go to hell.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't like doing that, but it's like, if you want to go low, I can go to hell. Or the more mature, evolved version of me can just be better and move forward and not engage. I feel like those are my two reactions.
Yes.
It's either if you go low, I'm going to go to hell, or if you go low, I'm going to say thank you for showing me who you are and walk away.
I think that I've gotten the latter form of you in that conversation in the car.
Yeah. I think because the thing is, I think that in my heart, in my soul, in my mind, I would love to crash out, but I think I have too many things I would like to achieve and too many things going for me to put myself in prison for any amount of time. And for that reason, I do have moments where I like think of revenge and think of, going to hell when they go low. And then I go, that's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because again, and I don't mean to keep calling back to Chutes and Ladders, but it's like in my youth, there were definitely moments where I went to hell. And I know that I have that within me. And I think that like, whereas last time I did this podcast, I think I was really ashamed of the fact that I have that in me. And so I was trying to be very nice and very sterile and very, whereas now I think I've accepted that I do have that within me, the ability to do that. But the strength of me and the growth of me is that I don't do that anymore.
Then I'm seeing the growth version, because based off of the stories you told me, granted, is coming from your perspective, but the stories you told me were the stories of a person who was being
Excuse me.
was being emotionally raw with someone else, and was given negative repercussion for it. Too open with someone and was given negative repercussion.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely been a pattern for me in my adult life. And I think it's
also, I want to clarify to whoever is potentially listening, I'm thinking of multiple people right now, and this is I'm not thinking of one particular person. So if you're listening to this and you know Jamie and you're like, oh, clearly this was me, it's not you.
Yeah. And I also, what I was about to say is it's not you, because the point I was going to make is this is a pattern for me.
Yeah.
In terms of like within my own childhood. Like, I think part of why I seek out dynamics in relationships, friendships, where when I'm emotionally vulnerable, it's not well received, because that was the case in my household as a child. When I would express big emotions, or when I would especially when I would set boundaries with my parents, I was always told I was being unreasonable. It was like, you're making a man out of a molehill. Nobody's trying to hurt you. Like, things were brushed off. And so it's like, I think that like pretty much like up until maybe 6 months ago, I have chased that ever running away white rabbit of trying to prove to somebody the validity of my feelings.
Before you keep going, I'm going to mouth some stuff. You said 6 months ago, was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like, and the thing is, the reason why it is so amazing for me to have had that light switch go on and go, oh, this is a pattern, is because like, honestly, all my female friends, I wish that I could just like book them a 2-week spa vacation for the amount of times they've told me, Jamie, this is a pattern. And I've gone, but this is different, but this thing's different, but this situation is, and it's like, when I think that it is like almost like recently, like things that had happened in my life happened in such a way that it was almost like I got like a sucker punch to the face, knocked out, woke up, looked at the damage, and was like, oh shit. Like, it really like made me like, it felt like waking up from a coma. And I was like, this is that. And this was that. And this was that. And this friendship in 2004 was that. And this other thing, like, it's been that so many times that it's like, I think part of what's allowed me to be in situations like that, and part of probably why I'm a lot more trying to learn to be at peace with myself and love myself, even the parts that are ugly, is that when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't allow you to be emotionally vulnerable, because you are making space for the volatile nature of not knowing which version of a person you're going to get, you have to compartmentalize and always show up as your best self. You cannot have flaw when you're showing up on edge to meet somebody that is going to potentially lash out on you or be kind to you. And I'm like, that I'm talking about with like the emotional abuse of my marriage. Like, that was a situation where like I would come home from work, or I would come home from gigs, and I would not know what I was going to get yelled about that day. Like, I would be doing a mental checklist of like, did I do this? Did I get all of these things taken care of? But then it's like, even if I went through my mental checklist and felt like I'd done everything that could possibly be done to be on good behavior, which is a horrible fucking thing to say. I would be like, oh, I've been on good behavior. I'm getting home early and I did this and I did it. There would always still be something that was wrong with me. And so I think it's like when you're being treated that way, the parts of you that are actually, nasty or yucky, like your ability to crash out and lash out, and you want to put those things really, really down deep, because if you're getting picked apart for forgetting to take out the recycling, imagine the way you're going to get picked apart for retaliating back to someone who's being unkind to you. And so I think that I think pretty much like 12 through 20, I very much was a crash out kid. Like it's funny, like you do a lot of like fighting stuff. I wanted to take karate so bad. I wanted to learn self-defense. My parents would not let me do any type of fighting class because they said that I was too violent by nature. Like that was me as a child. Like I was an angry child. I really was. And people like meet me as an adult and are surprised to learn that. And I think it's because the experiences that I've had in my life, while traumatic, have made me a lot more measured and a lot more slow to crash out. I think about it a lot, but I don't, because of like learning to regulate and control those things. But I think that like the last time we spoke, the issue is that I wasn't regulating and controlling those urges. I was fully repressing them to survive an unhealthy emotional situation.
I hear you. And I'm going to pivot on two different directions.
Okay. I'm listening.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm good. I feel like it's like one of those things where I'm like, I feel free. I'm like, yeah, whatever we record, like, let's go. Okay. Let's show everybody the real Jay. I think is like,
I think people pretty much
can see the real me if you have a single conversation with me. I think what you see is what you get. But I do think that like only some people come talk. I mean, actually, no, people do come talk to me. So I'm hoping people know what I'm like and have an impression of me.
Do you think this one will recontextualize or reframe yourself to people that don't know you that well?
Perhaps, because I do think that I not necessarily in Chicago. Well, maybe in Chicago comedy. I don't know. I know that like in college, in high school, in my life in general, I've always felt like I can be a polarizing person. Like you either love me or you hate me. And I do think in Chicago comedy scene, I generally do get along with pretty much everybody, just because it's like I try to just show up and do a good job and be polite and kind and get out of there. But it's like any of my tendencies towards like crash out or conflict or whatever are from a place of like, I just really despise insincerity. That really grates on me, and I like can let it roll off my back and like, but I was once, so somebody, I might have actually said this on your last podcast.
Okay.
But somebody once described me as like, you are a mansion where all of the doors are open and you can go in and out of the rooms as you please. But there's a security camera in every single room that is motion activated and you're fucking watching.
It's a hell of a metaphor.
Yeah. Would you agree or disagree with that metaphor? From what you know about me?
From what I know about you, it depends on who's in the house.
Ooh, yep. But and that's kind of what they said as well, as they said like, if somebody comes into the house that I don't really know, I am watching them. But then it's like, if once I feel like, oh, this person can be in my house, then it's like, it's funny because what the person has said at the time is like the bookcase moves to reveal a secret door, and then you go down these long staircases. And I would very much say that's my trust wall thing. Is I'm just like I'm keeping an eye before I feel comfortable, and I think that that's part of why back then, last time we did this, podcasting was so nerve-wracking for me, because I'm like, oh, you want me to let whoever the fuck on the internet watches this video into my basement,
Yeah.
I don't even always let myself into that basement. What?
I forgot. Speaking of, we talked about this in my car, my learning how to use tact. Do you remember when I posted one of the clips from that?
Oh my God. Go ahead. No. Okay. So, so for context, I talked pretty extensively in the last episode about how there had been some infidelity in my marriage on both sides, but like I did start it. I'll be honest. I cheated first, and I've been cheated on, and I cheated first in my marriage, and I'm sorry, world. That was not good of me. I shouldn't have done that. But Aaron chose to clip a reel from the conversation where we were talking about infidelity in relationships, and it was just a picture of me.
There was no video.
It was just a picture of me, no video. Tagged me underneath it, and then just in like giant bold letters at the top, it was just cheating or like cheater. And I was like, hey Aaron, buddy.
I think it was in red too. I think it was in bold red.
It was literally like cheater in bold red letters. It was like a picture of me, and I was just like, hey, I'm pretty happy to have talked about those things, but like out of context, just a picture of me with cheaters kind of triggering me right now. Could we maybe not post it like that when it's like, because the thing is like now, honestly, I think at the time it was still pretty raw for me, and I still was feeling quite a lot of guilt. And I think that honestly, like, I think that within the context of my marriage, you know, like this happened. I do this horrible thing. I make this horrible mistake. I like try to come clean about it and say, and I literally said, like, if you don't want to be with me, leave. We won't be together anymore. And he was like, no, I want to work through it. But then it's like, the issue is that then he never got over it. For the next 6 years, any argument, like it could be like an argument about something completely unrelated, it would always come back to, well, you did this. Well, you did this thing. And it's like, after like, 6 years later, you've gone to therapy, you've done the work to like realize that was like a self-esteem issue. It had nothing to do with the other person. That was all you that ended up in that situation. And so you like, try to atone, try to make nice, and just to like keep having something that happened so long ago held over your head in every single argument. It just got to the point where I was just like, I'm not that person anymore. I'm really sorry I did that to you. I'm really sorry I hurt you. But like, if you can't look me in the eye and after all these years, let that go and truly let that go, truly put that to bed, we can't be together anymore. And that's why we're not together anymore. And it's horrible and it sucks. And I think it's part of why I am so hesitant to date again for a while. Cause it's like, I think that I like to some degree, I do still harbor a lot of guilt and resentment for myself for that decision. But I do think also, if I'm being very real and very, like having empathy for myself, having empathy for the situation, I think I was way too young to have made a decision that would affect the rest of my life. When I was pre-25. I was married before 25. Like, your brain hasn't developed before 25. And I think that, because I was a child, I did something childish rather than saying, oh, I don't know that I'm ready for this thing that I have gotten and it's like horrible to say thing. It's like, I love this person, but I love this person in the context of the relationship as it had been up until that point. Now we're putting this other thing on it. And so I did the very immature thing to do, which was to, rather than express that fear, cheat. And like, people cheat all the time. And I think the difference for me and like the hope for me is that like, that was my like horrible mistake. I really, really hurt and, broke somebody's heart doing that. And now I know not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we're talking Chutes and Ladders. That was a 6-year shoot.
I wanted to pivot away from at least romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up your friends as your support group, and in the car you brought up something that I don't think I knew, which is that Victoria Vincent is your best friend.
Yeah, I would say as far as comedy goes, I have like my comedy besties would be like Victoria Vincent, Alexa Yeager, Sarah Perry, Grace Baylor. I love Amira Sanders. Like I just have like Emily Ogle. Obviously Emily. I'm so sorry. I was sitting there. I'm like, I need to say one other person. There's one other person, and it's like obviously Emily.
Yeah.
Of comedy people, like those are pretty much like the core girlies that I really, really lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, there's so many women and men and theys and thems in comedy that I love, but those are the people like off the top of my mind. I'm like, I'm hitting up all the time. And like Luis Arevalo as well. That's my dude. We're locked in, but like, not a girl, but does listen to me, and a very emotionally intelligent man. And I really appreciate that in our friendship. But like, I mean, yeah, I have had to deal with putting Victoria through hell in terms of like, I would say like all my close friends through hell, but Victoria is very real with me when I am doing something that she thinks is not in my best interest. And that's a good fucking friend. Mm-hmm. A good friend will look at you and say, what the fuck are you doing? That is not in favor of your highest self. Like,
how did you guys meet?
So Victoria and I, pre-pandemic, Victoria, Alexa Yeager, and I produced a late night show at the Laugh Factory called Naughty Thoughts. Play on words, LOL. And it was like one Friday a month, 11:30. Mm. And basically like the whole thing is that it was like kind of like a spin on the Nasty Show, but it's like the lineup was primarily women and non-binary, and then we would have like a token See You Next Tuesday, which was just a token dude. We'd have one straight cis dude per show, and the audience would write down inappropriate thoughts or inappropriate things they'd done, and we would read them throughout the show. It was called Naughty Thoughts, and it was like funny because when you say thoughts, it sounds like THOTS rather than THOUGHTS. And so it's like, yeah, Victoria and I were producing that show together because I think it was like we were looking for, it was me and Alexa originally, and we were saying like, hey, this is a lot for just 2 people. We want one more person. And the staff at Laugh Factory was like, oh, well, actually, this girl just started Victoria. We think she'd be a really good fit. Brought her on. We produced like 3 shows as a team of 3, and then the pandemic hit. And during the pandemic, it's funny because Victoria and I's friendship really solidified because there was one day that we like had a coffee date, and then we were sitting in my car outside of her. I think she was trying to go into Michael's because she had to pick up an order, and she like didn't go into the Michael's for like 2 hours because we just started like yapping about like relationships and our upbringings. And that was kind of like, I was like, oh, I really fuck with this girl. And then during the pandemic, we all had to bubble, right? And so Victoria and I decided to bubble together because, we had just become really good friends. And it was like, she's like, I'm single. Like, you just live with your husband. Like, you're working from home. I'm working in the hospital. Like, let's just hang out once a week just because I'm going to go fucking crazy if I don't see people. And so, yeah, we bubbled together, and that made us get even closer. And then, yeah, the rest is kind of history. I think that it's almost like a yin and yang sort of situation with she and I. But then also we are actually quite similar, I think, in many, many ways, which I do think surprises people. But it's like, not me. Like, not, I know that girl's heart, and I know my heart. And I'm like, no, like we're locked in forever. Like I really do love and admire her. And one of my favorite Victoria stories is just the fact that like the year she got JFL, it's very ironic to me because I had been like lighting candles around my bath and meditating every day and saying to myself, I'm going to JFL, I'm going to JFL, I'm going to, like, I wanted to get JFL so bad. And I remember, like, she was really sad because she didn't get an in-person audition. And I was like, that's really horrible. I don't know why you didn't get one. I'm sorry. And then somebody had suggested to her, like, to send in a tape. And then it was really ironic because, like, she sent in the tape, she got JFL off the tape. And I think, you know, she had, like, been under strict rules nobody could know, but, like, kind of just said, hey, you know, can you book, I think she was like, can you come to Canada on this date? And that was in my mind. I was like, she didn't tell me, but I know she got JFL. So I go to watch her showcase and support her. I was in Montreal for, like, exactly 24 hours to go to her showcase. We went to the after party and then I got on the flight home. But I just remember I was walking around JFL and I just burst out laughing because I was like, I'm at JFL. I'm at JFL. I am. Like, I it happened. I thought about it and it happened. It was different than I planned, but I think that that's the thing that's really beautiful about, like, when you manifest stuff, like, it goes different than you planned. And the point I am really trying to get to is that Victoria was at this place where she was, like, working full time in medicine and doing comedy, and it was just not sustainable. Like, I was seeing my friend, like, really burnt out at the end of her rope, and I was feeling really rock in a hard place because I was trying to really encourage her, like, and be supportive and say, like, you can do this full time, you can take this full time, you got it, like, you can. And to get that kind of a confirmation, like, that you have what it takes, and to go and, like, get a college agent and be able to start doing college gigs and quit your medicine job and do comedy full time. Like, it's like one of those things where I was like, oh, like, it was her time. It was her time to do JFL. Like, it's just like everything does happen for a reason and how it's supposed to. And I, like, also had just the joy of watching my friend reach this huge comedy milestone. And then I also got to, like, go to the after party, and I was, like, talking to comedians that were, like, famous, not famous, like people I'd met, people who I, you know, like, I think I was so mad at myself in hindsight because freaking James Acaster was there, who's one of my favorite comics. He's, like, an English comic. And I went up to him, like, so awkwardly. I was just, hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm a huge fan. I love everything you do. And he's like, like, we were both just, like, it was just two awkward people not existing well in the same space. So I was like, yeah, sorry, James, if you're not gonna watch, but like, if you did, I am sorry. I'm really embarrassed. I'm still embarrassed about that. It keeps me up at night. But the point I was trying to make, I have ADHD. The point I was trying to make is that I got to, like, be there for my friend, support my friend, and then I also kind of got to see, like, how the sausage is made, and it kind of gave me the clarity of, like, oh, it's like all of these things are amazing and we want them, we all want to get them, but it's like it's another thing that, like, if you're gonna get it, you'll get it, but, like, there are other avenues and ways to find success with or without it. But obviously I still would like to get it, and I would like to make my manifestations more specific this year, next year, the year after, whenever. I would like to go to JFL, and I would like to be on the stage, and not on the stage sweeping the stage, not on the stage changing a light bulb.
It's a real monkey's paw situation.
But on the stage talking into a microphone as one of the selected people. That is what I would like to happen.
Speaking of comedy, where do you feel like your career is now versus where you were when we first did this?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I feel like there's been a lot of growth. I feel like then I was kind of, like, just getting started, just getting established. Like, I was having these opportunities in Chicago. I was doing road gigs, but it's like, I don't think I had done NACA yet. And I don't think, I mean, honestly, like, pre-divorce, it was really difficult for me because I was barely scraping by, just in terms of, like, there's just a lot, like I already said, there's a lot of pressure being put on me to, like, be home, but do shows, but like, it was more hats than a single person could wear. So I think I'm a lot more at peace, which is why now I'm kind of in my season of hurry up and wait. Like, I feel like it's like a lot of seeds have been planted, and I'm watering them and I'm tending to them and I'm just waiting to see that first sprout. Like, whereas like, I feel like the energy last time I talked to you was very frantic. It was very like scarcity mindset of like, oh, I gotta do this. The energy now is just like, okay, I know if I turn the stove up this much and if I throw in this right now and then I just wait for 4 to 6 hours, I'm gonna have a beautiful meal in 4 to 6 hours. But it's like, if I walk away from it, it could burn. So it's like, I'm here, I'm keeping an eye on it, I'm doing what I need to be doing. But there's not a frantic energy. There's a calm to me that I don't think I had at all last time I talked to you. I think that I was hiding how truly like anxious, worked up I was. Well, thank you, theater degree. But like, I definitely had like my front up to hide the fact that I was like frantically trying to be like, what the fuck am I doing?
Do you pick up any of that energy in re-listening to it, or do you think you just hit it really well?
When I re-listen to it, I know myself. So I'm like, oh, damn, girl did a great job at being really, really sterile and like diplomatic with everything she was saying. Like, I don't think that there was really any rawness other than like, I think we maybe got a little bit raw with like when you brought up the polyamory stuff and the infidelity stuff, because that was still very raw at the time because I still felt a lot of guilt around those things. And so that's when the facade started to falter.
What was it? Because you didn't really know me at that time. Why even be willing to talk about it then?
Ooh. I think because I have this interesting character flaw where I would rather be sincere in the moment and worry about it after the fact than not talk about it. And that's probably why someday I will need to have press training and people to say, Jamie, don't go there. Or like, Erin, don't ask her this thing. But it's like, yeah, for me, it's like, if I'm asked a question, I want to answer as honestly and sincerely I can in the moment. But then I also think like at that point in time, I was honest and sincere. For me with you was being a little surface level and referencing my jokes as answers to questions. You know, like it was a little bit more medicated. Yeah.
I am excited. You just alluded to it. I'm excited for the future because it's really interesting interviewing and talking to all of these comedians and knowing a good amount of them are going to be like really famous.
Yeah.
And including you in that. And you seem to be aware of that.
Thank you.
I don't even know if I have it's just like it's just a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling, like knowing in your gut that someone is going to be famous. And right now we're capturing this little moment. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't. I'm just like, I'm really excited to have you say that. And it makes me giggle because I think, it just makes me think of like, I was hanging out with Amira Sanders. We're both really into astrology. She was looking at my astrology chart more, intensely. And she was looking at, I have some Capricorn placements in a certain house. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I know that I'm a bad astrology fan for not knowing that information off the top of my head. But she was like, oh, you're going to be famous. Like based on this placement, you're going to be famous. And I just went, oh no. She was like, that's not how you respond to that. And I basically, what I said to her is I said, the reason why that worries me, and it kind of comes back to what we were talking about the last podcast, is like, I do feel very afraid of like,
the backlash
being like, because I think that like, okay, I think especially in America, we have a tendency with female celebrities to, as they rise in popularity, we idolize them, we adore them, we obsess over them. They step a single toe out of line, they show a single piece of humanity or imperfection, and they fall from grace so hard. Or alternatively, they could do nothing wrong and we could decide to find them cringe or hate them for the very thing we initially loved them for. I'm looking at you, Jennifer Lawrence. We should not have done you like that. You didn't deserve that. And then a year or so goes by, and then we just go back to like, or they go from here to just like they're still famous, but it's like it's no like the spot has cooled off. Mm-hmm. I think it requires a lot of strength and humility and like knowing who the fuck you are to live through that experience. And I'm like, and also it's like similar to what we talked about earlier of like, I think I also struggle with the reality of like, with fame comes like XYZ, and like I want to be a private citizen who is using what resources and time I have to give back to the larger collective. I don't want to become Taylor Swift suing my fans over candles and things that they made to make their rent with her likeness. Like that is horrible to me.
Do you think you are, if tomorrow we were snap our fingers and suddenly Jamie blows up, something goes viral or whatever, and you blow
also
up.
I feel like we're gonna have to edit out the Taylor Swift part because the fan and the thing is, it's like, I'll be honest and say like I love Taylor Swift, the businesswoman, the artist. I think that she has a lane and she knows what she's doing and she does it well. Taylor Swift, the billionaire, is cutthroat and evil, and I think that you have to acknowledge that about her if you're going to listen to her music. And I think to not do that is you're not paying attention.
Was this a moment just now where you were getting worried about the future? And
yeah, that is exactly what just happened. I was like, I have to add context to this because the Swifties are going to come kill me.
It's funny. I guess that connects to my question, which was, if it were to happen tomorrow, would you be ready? And I'm going to guess no. I'm going to guess you're not quite wherever you need to be. You haven't fully gestated yet.
But I think if we're talking manifestation,
okay,
and we're talking like speaking what you want into resistance, I think I need to figure it the fuck out.
Yes.
And quick.
Why quick? Do you feel like something? Do you feel this momentum or something?
Yes and no. It's like I said, hurry up and wait. I feel like knowing how my life has been up to this point, it's going to be one of those things where like, if it happens for me, not if, I'm knocking on wood because I'm speaking what I want into existence. When it happens for me, it is not going to be how I ever would have thought it would at all. And I'm going to be like, I think I'll probably laugh out loud because like, there's been many situations in my life where I've really wanted something. And when I get it, it happens in the weirdest way. And so I think it is going to be one of those things where it's like, it will happen in a way that I wasn't expecting. It'll be laughable. And so I think it's like, what I need to heal and what I need to really work on is just standing 10 toes down what I believe in. And what I believe in is that we should all be kind but not nice. If you have the ability to become a billionaire, there's something to your brain that is inherently different and more calculated than mine. And it makes it difficult for me to relate to you, even if I enjoy your work or the ability to purchase a package of toilet paper that'll come tomorrow so my lazy ass doesn't have to walk to Walgreens. I think I can be correct in saying I have more in common with somebody who is experiencing houselessness than Jeff Bezos.
It's fair.
And I think that, like, especially with what we do, I'm way too worried about offending, but certain people. There are certain groups that I'm like, I love offending you. Like, when I got the threats from incel men on the internet, I was like, I'm gonna jerk off to that later. I mean, no, actually, I was scared. I was legitimately scared. And but no, it's like that was one that I was like, that felt like powerful and cool and like but there are like, yeah, there are some situations where it's like I've spoken out about what I believe in and upset or offended or lost somebody that I had known in life prior to that interaction. And so yeah, I think it's like I need to be okay with like it's because I'm a people pleaser. But the thing is, if you are people pleasing, the one person you are not pleasing is yourself.
Irony.
It is very ironic. And then also you don't please other people because you're not being sincere.
Right.
Or you're withholding, or you're
just a
backtracking.
mechanism.
Like kind of with the Taylor Swift thing, me being like, well, but really, it's like, yeah, the people who are diehard fans are not going to fucking care about that part that I added at the end. They're going to be like, don't say a single bad word about our Lord and Savior Taylor's, like, because there are people who are that diehard of fans, and they'll be like, you're not a feminist for critiquing a billionaire. When it's like, I'm not critiquing Taylor Swift the musician, I'm critiquing the billionaire. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I think I'm trying to heal the part of me that's worried about offending people when we're literally in a field where it's like...
It's kind of part of the game.
It's kind of part of what we do.
I have one more question. This episode's, I think, based on how you'll answer it, not too short, but we've also been around each other for 16 hours, and I want to go get that Mexican food.
Yeah, go get your Mexican food. It's time.
Here's the question. So let's pretend that this camera's you in 5 years from now. If you could say anything you want to yourself 5 years in the future, what would you say?
You're not a dainty flower, and you never had been. You are a redwood tree, and it's your responsibility, and it's your job and duty to commemorate your grandma's life by not living small. You're not small. You've never been small. Take up that fucking space, stand 10 toes down, and show these bitches who the fuck Jamie Schreiner is. Proudly. I love you, bitch.
All right, let's take this picture.